A phobia can be summarized as an uncontrollable and irrational fear of situations, objects, or activities. At times, it can be so overwhelming that people who suffer from certain phobias would go to great lengths to avoid the source of their phobia. Although phobias are clustered in with most fears, the effect of phobias are much worse. In most severe cases, people with phobias critically limit their lives, and even the thought of their phobias can cause panic attacks, overwhelming pressure on the chest, and shortness of breath. The scary part is some people don't even know they live with certain phobias, and thus makes it harder to cure in the long run. Today, we'll take a look at 6 phobias that deeply affect people's day-to-day life. Somnophobia, the fear of sleep. In a nutshell, somnophobia is the extreme fear of sleep, but it goes way deeper than just being a fear. Many people assume that this phobia is equivalent to sleep anxiety. However, somnophobia is a specific phobia and is usually very intense. Statistics. It has been reported that experts cannot accurately estimate exactly how many people experience this phobia, due to the fact that many cases go undocumented due to people often feeling a sense of shame, as sleep should be a natural occurrence in the human life cycle, and that this specific phobia is not classified as a primary health condition, rather a subcategory of sleep disorders. According to statistics, 40 million adults in the United States alone have some form of chronic sleep disorders, so one can only imagine how many cases of somnophobia have slipped through the cracks and the devastation it has caused. Causes. At the moment, there is no study aimed at determining what causes somnophobia. What we know for a fact is that many factors can contribute to a fear of sleep, and for many it can stem from fear of dying in your sleep, hallucinations, nightmares, sleep paralysis. It is notable that many people who suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder or PTSD in itself causes night terrors, sleepwalking, or other sleep disturbances that can lead to a general fear of sleep. People who have experienced trauma at night can also be more susceptible to this phobia. Symptoms. The main symptom of somnophobia is intense distress when you think about or try to sleep. You may avoid going to bed for as long as possible, feel irritable or have mood swings, leave lights or the television on when you try to sleep, struggle to concentrate throughout the day because sleep-related worry is so intense. Phobias can also cause physical symptoms. In severe cases, you may have a panic attack. A panic attack is a sudden or unexpected rush of anxiety that causes physical symptoms. Those with short-term symptoms might experience breathing changes or shortness of breath, also known as dyspnea, chest pain or tightness, chills or cold sweats, hyperventilation, increased heart rate or heart palpitations, nausea or vomiting, uncontrollable shaking or tremors. Long-term effects of somnophobia. Long-term lack of sleep can lead to health problems. Consistent sleep deprivation can increase your risk of depression, diabetes, heart attack, high blood pressure, also known as hypertension, obesity, and strokes. In extreme cases, it can result in death. There are therapy methods that can help counter symptoms. However, there is no cure for this phobia. Trypophobia, the fear of holes. This phobia is most commonly known as the fear of holes. In the recent years, many people have taken to social media about their extreme disgust and discomfort that they experience as a result of trypophobia. The holes are usually closely packed and can form patterns and shapes that can cause an intense amount of distress. Statistics. The irony of this phobia is that it is very real and quite uncomfortable to live with. Despite the fact is that approximately 10 to 18% of the adult population experience some form of this phobia. However, the subject is actively still being researched by mental health professionals and discussed via various news outlets, social media, and health-related forums. Symptoms. Goosebumps, chills, or the sensation of your skin crawling, gagging, nausea or vomiting, visual discomfort which can include eye strain or even illusions, a strong desire to get away, shaking and trembling, dizziness, feelings of panic which can manifest into an actual panic attack. Causes. As much as science is advancing every day, there is not enough evidence to pinpoint one distinct cause of trypophobia, but we have been given a few theories to consider. The fear could be acting as an extension of a biological fear of creatures that are particularly venomous. Images associated with the phobia produce a severe anxiety response, which sufferers cannot control. Some experts speculate that could even be linked to underlying phobias of germs or contagious skin conditions. Treatment. Since not much is known as of yet, the main treatments are exposure therapy, and in severe cases, you could get a prescription of anxiety medication. For the most part, the majority of people can cope with the phobia and have devoted their time by turning their uncomfortable moments into being able to face their fears and spread awareness for the cause. Athzagoraphobia, the fear of being forgotten. It is safe to say that most people aim to attain some form of remembrance from family, friends, or even people they meet in passing. This is all natural responses that form part of self-image. However, for some people, the fear of being forgotten, ignored, or dismissed can actually manifest into an actual phobia. The phobia known as athzagoraphobia is described as an abnormal fear of not being remembered or being forgotten, but applies not only to the fear of forgetting someone, but can also be the forgetting of something. This phobia is categorized as part of a social phobia. Statistics. This particular phobia is quite uncommon, however, in recent years many cases have come to light. Statistics have estimated 15 million people in America suffer from some form of social phobia, and there has been an influx in people have reportedly exhibiting onset symptoms of athzagoraphobia. Symptoms. It is important to note that symptoms can differ throughout individuals, some being psychological, and some that become so severe on the psyche that it begins to turn physical. Symptoms can include morbid fear and anxiety when they are ignored or forgotten, or perceive that they could be forgotten. Intense apprehension and anxiety just thinking about being forgotten. Intense anxiety that is out of proportion to the actual risk of being forgotten. Experiencing feelings of impending disaster or doom when faced with a situation that evokes the worry of loss of memory or not being remembered. Nausea or abdominal discomfort. Causes. There are several causes for athzagoraphobia, including a past trauma involving being abandoned or being exposed to someone being forgotten or left behind, experiencing a significant event being forgotten such as a birthday, anniversary, etc. The loss of a parent, caregiver, or loved one can start off as grief, but can manifest into this phobia. Witnessing other people experience memory loss, such as a family member with dementia or Alzheimer's. Psychological disorders that were passed down via genetics could play a pivotal role if patients lack proper support. This phobia is not recognized as a mental condition. However, you can go get a diagnosis from a mental health professional. The treatments range from cognitive behavioral therapy, mindful meditation, and medication. With an effective treatment regimen and a stable support system, people with athzagoraphobia can get the help they need to lead decent lives. Chronophobia. The fear of time. This phobia directly translates to the extreme fear of time or the passage thereof. Now, when one first thinks of this phobia, you might think it is irrational or even bizarre, but in reality, many of us have experienced some form of chronophobia, just in relatively small doses. It could be when you do not want a specific moment to end with someone, or the anxious feeling you get whenever thinking about the future, or even death. This phobia is also called prison neurosis. It may be the most common anxiety disorder in prison inmates. Sooner or later, almost all prisoners suffer from chronophobia to some degree and become terrified by the duration and immensity of time. This is most frequent in prisoners who were sent into a dark and lonely room as an extreme case of isolation punishments. Statistics. Like with many phobias, not much is known in accordance to the exact amount of people who have this phobia. While we don't know how many people actually suffer from this phobia, we do know that 1 in 10 American adults and 1 in 5 teenagers are plagued by a form of special phobia. Symptoms: depersonalization, which refers to a person feeling detached from their own body. Chills, dizziness, heart palpitations, nausea, shortness of breath. People living with terminal illnesses, the elderly community, and prisoners living in confinement are at a higher risk of getting this particular phobia. Some with mental health challenges can also easily fall victim to this phobia. Treatments: psychotherapy is the most common treatment used. However, some prefer hypnosis, exposure therapy, meditation, or some form of medicine to cope. Although there are no life-threatening effects, this phobia has been known to ruin people's mental health, perception of reality, and can break down the strongest of intimate and platonic relationships, so overall, it can become intense for its sufferers. Thalassophobia: fear of the ocean or deep body of water. This phobia refers to when people have either an intense fear of the ocean or large bodies of water. It's not just the water source that is triggering it, can also be the uncertain depths of the water, and of course what lurks beneath the surface. Most people believe that it's the vast density of the ocean that people fear. Others claim it's fear of unknown creatures lurking deep in the ocean, both of which are thalassophobia. Statistics: according to recent studies, experts have concluded that the amount of people who suffer from thalassophobia is indefinite at the moment, but they estimate that thousands of people struggle with this phobia and that the number continues to grow. Symptoms: being afraid of going in or near the ocean or any body of water, refusal to travel by boat, panic attacks, feelings of being lightheaded, heart palpitations, severe sweating, hyperventilation, the feeling of choking or even physically freezing up. Causes: the most common cause is that a person suffered a traumatic event with water and now associate feelings of anguish with it. Witnessing or even hearing of someone else drowning. Fear of sea creatures like sharks. The inability to swim can cause one to feel in danger and create an aversion to water. Not to mention that the ocean has claimed many lives, so people have an irrational idea that dead bodies could just start emerging from the water. Treatment: this is not a serious phobia in the eyes of mental health practitioners. However, it can really put a damper on one's summer plans and can cause you to miss out on the beauty that nature has to offer. With that being said, the best treatment are exposure therapy, being able to voice your concerns and fears without judgment, and in worst case scenarios, medication.